Seriously, some people, I mean, I try and accept everybody for who they are, but sometimes just...
I'll show you the dark side.
Just so much anger and hate.
Show me again the power of the darkness. And I will let nothing stand in our way. Show me.
Hey guys, welcome to the Extreme Channel. My name is Mr. X and I have a board purchase. What exactly is a board purchase? A board purchase is when you're sitting there by yourself without much to do and you are surfing eBay, other buying platforms, trying to find something to buy. Well, shit. So I've always liked this piece. I'm a big fan of Star Wars. I've actually done a number of videos on Star Wars, including this Star Wars collection right here. And then I have a number of 1/4 scale Star Wars pieces, but I was trying to stay away from any life-size busts. However, I've always had my eye on this life-size bust of Kylo Ren made by Sideshow Collectibles. And I think it was actually on Thanksgiving Day. I was home alone all day as my family was out of town. And as I said, I've kind of kept my eye on this guy. He's actually on the wait list on Sideshow now. And I found an awesome deal on eBay, so I pulled the trigger. Now here he is. Now this creates two problems for me. Problem number one is, honestly, I don't know where I'm going to put him.
That's what she said.
Problem number two, well, I can't have just Kylo Ren. I have to get Darth Vader, right? So I'm now on the hunt for the Sideshow Darth Vader life-size bust. I'm probably in the minority of Star Wars fans here, but I enjoy the character of Kylo Ren. I think Adam Driver did a decent job portraying him. I don't like some of what they wrote into the new Star Wars movies, but I like the character overall and some of the character development. Plus, whether you liked or disliked the new Star Wars movies, you can't deny that he looks badass with his mask on. So today we're going to jump into an in-depth review of this piece, and it's not going to take that long because really there's not a lot going on. But we got to make it at least 8 minutes so I can insert some commercials on the middle for you guys. So honestly, that wasn't me just extending the video. I rarely plan what I'm going to say during these videos other than following my basic format. So let's just start with that. We'll dive into the review here because I'm not going to go into a lot of background info. Hopefully you know who Kylo Ren is if you're watching this. But Kylo Ren is Han Solo's son, and he is from the Knights of Ren. He's technically not a Sith, even though he learned how to use the dark side of the Force. But then in the end, he used, I guess, what you would call the light side or the good side of the Force, which is kind of a spoiler if you haven't watched the last Star Wars movie that came out. All right, so with concept, with the bust I always talk about, it's a little bit different, and this is no exception. This has a base that I like. So I actually like this base. It's really reminiscent of maybe the Star Killer, the big space station, or maybe it's a spaceship. Kylo Ren's spaceship. I do wish that it actually had a light up feature, but it doesn't. And then as you move up, so it's kind of a stand where a lot of times the base bust is part of the bust itself. This is a stand, and I'm not a big fan of that, even though you may be able to fashion his cloak so it covers this up. So while that's more design related, I think it can be somewhat talked about in the concept. I would actually guess this is from The Force Awakens because he's wearing that cloak. And then when you look at his helmet, it's not melded back together, so we know it's not from the last movie. And I quite like it, though. I think it's pretty accurate to the movie. I'd have to look pretty close and go ahead and watch those films again. And that's an important part when we talk about concept is the likeness there, and I definitely think that it is. So again, the biggest thing I don't like about the concept is the big gap you have right here. It's kind of like a floating head, but maybe I can fashion this cloak some way around it. But otherwise, I quite like it. There are a few things in design we're going to talk about that I wish were a little bit different, at least for my display purposes. But concept of this piece, I think it's a 3 out of 5. I think that missing part in the middle is a huge downer to me because almost all the other busts I have at least a torso connecting this to this. And that's true when we talk about the value. But before we do that, let's talk about the design of the piece. I'll get dimensions for you. So the widest point is probably his shoulders here, and that's a little under 21 inches. The base is only 10. Then the base is the deepest point. It's about 12 and a half. Then you have the height, which is a little bit tall. It's about 27 inches, maybe a little bit more. So I'm going to have to get creative on where I'm putting him, especially if I'm thinking about a Vader in the future, because I'd want them next to each other. So you saw the cloak with the hood right here. Yes, I tried it on. Yes, I should have taken a picture for you. Hashtag opportunity missed. But you can display it with the hood down like I have it now. And I think that's how I prefer it, because it shows more of the scary helmet. However, you can do it with the hood up as well, so you can check that out right here. And this still looks good, so I do like the fact it's a bust and you have a couple display options. That's unique. I really wish there would have been a light up feature down here. I rarely use light up features, but it would have been cool if there was an AC adapter that had a light up feature, or even one that shined up on this particular piece. So really, the design, other than if you count the big gap here that I talked about during concept, but I don't want to knock it in two different categories, I think the design's pretty good for a bust. So I give it a 4 out of 5 on the rating scale. Paint and sculpt, not a lot to this again. The base here is all very similar. We'll start with that. We'll talk a little bit about the fabric or the mixed media here, which I was going to say, I don't believe I have a bust with mixed media, but quite a few of the Queen Studios ones are. The Terminator, the Loki. So I think the cloth, we didn't really talk about this in design, would have been a lot worse if it was sculpted. So this is a much better option, but we'll look at it. All right, on the base here, it looks fine. It's nothing fancy. The paint job's decently clean. Like I said, I wish it had a light up feature. Overall, it's very clean. Like I said, really reminds me of a spaceship. Has kind of this shiny black reflective material. And here's the cloak, so it looks pretty cool, interwoven. You'd think since he was second in command of the entire galaxy that he could have afforded something better like this, but there's cool stitching on it. It's kind of ripped up, and maybe that made him look more scary. Here's some shots of the helmet. I like the texture on this. I like how it is very dirty, so it's battle worn. You can tell he's definitely been in it for a while. Like I said, I believe this is pretty movie accurate. I'd have to take a very close look just to find out. But it almost looks like some scoring. I think some of the paint on this could have been better, especially on the metal part. I do like the dents and scratches throughout. This is really hard to describe during a review, so I'm kind of just showing you some different pictures here. So overall, on a piece like this, I think it's very mediocre. And I don't mean that as a bad thing, but it's not super advanced, especially since they didn't have a lot to do. So I think the paint and sculpt both fall into the same category on this. I think they're both a 3 out of 5. Definitely some opportunity with the paint. Sculpt is good. It's just not overly impressive because I don't think they had to do a lot. And honestly, there might be more engineering than there was sculpt on this, where they were actually placing pieces together. But now let's talk about the value of this. The retail price of this is $1,150, $1,150. Can we say ripoff? I'm sorry, I think that's a huge ripoff by Sideshow. You only have a floating head here. There wasn't a lot of cost to this piece. I'm sure licensing with Star Wars isn't cheap, however. And the other problem with this is we don't know how many they made. It says limited edition. Well, is that 200 or is that 2,000? So as a disclaimer, the edition size may or may not change the score, but we're going to assume it's an edition size of 500 or so. Now, I was lucky enough to grab this guy for $850 shipped off eBay. That's why I pulled the trigger. I've been so hesitant. I think that's a decent price. However, we're going to grade the retail price of this guy. Retail price is $1,150. Is this the best Kylo Ren bust out there? Probably at that price point it is, no doubt. So we're going to pretend an edition size of 500. If the edition size is 2,000, it goes down even lower. If the edition size is 100, it might go up even a little bit higher. But I think the value is a 2 out of 5. At $1,150, not a lot to go on to this bus. They certainly cashed out, unless for some reason the edition size is really low, or for some reason licensing Kylo Ren is more expensive than Darth Vader, which I doubt. All right, so does this have the X factor? Is this a 5 out of 5 piece? Obviously it's not, but I really like it. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Kylo Ren. I think if you don't like Kylo Ren, you're not going to dig this piece. You're probably going to put it at a 2 or 3 out of 5. I'm between a 3 and a 4. And I've always said that when I'm in between two grades, I'm going to go with the lower grade. So even though this almost is a 4 out of 5 statue, it's not. It's a 3 out of 5. It's still very cool. I'm still very happy I got him. I think I got him at a great deal. I just need to figure out how this is going to change my bust display. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like on the video today. Let me know if you know the actual edition size number to this. I obviously do not. And if you like stuff like this, hit that Mr. X logo, hit that bell notification. I drop daily content about pop culture collectibles. I will talk to you tomorrow. Take care.